We begin our countdown with a legend that takes us to the ancient Mayan ruins in southern Mexico. A legend that has baffled researchers and scientists for decades, yet claims to be the very answer to all our questions. Prepare to be enlightened. Number 10 on our list of mysteries is the legend of the crystal skulls.
I believe the discovery of the crystal skulls presents mankind with one of its greatest mysteries. The discovery of the crystal skulls, in so many ways, challenges all our beliefs about ourselves.
Chris Morton and Ceri Louise Thomas, authors of The Mystery of the Crystal Skulls, first heard of the legend while vacationing in Guatemala.
When I first heard the legend, I thought it was very interesting, but nothing more than a colourful piece of mythology.
Their local guide told them a fascinating story about 13 lifelike crystal skulls that had been left behind thousands of years ago by ancient Mayan elders, to be discovered by future generations. And the more Chris and Ceri learned about these elusive crystal skulls and their purpose, the more intrigued they became.
The legend says that these skulls were left behind by the earliest ancestors from way back in the mist of time. These skulls are containers of great knowledge and wisdom. They contain information about the past history of the planet, the evolution of mankind, and above all, vital information about our purpose on this earth and our future destiny.
It is widely believed that the undiscovered skulls could be located throughout Central and South America, or maybe even the Southwest United States. But even though vital information is theoretically inside the skulls, according to the legend, humankind is not yet evolved enough to understand it.
The legend prophesies that one day, at a time of great crisis for humanity, that all of these 13 crystal skulls would be rediscovered and that they would be brought together again. And when that time arrived, they would divulge the information which the native people believe is vital to the very survival of the human race.
Chris and Ceri began to actively research the story when they discovered that 5 of the 13 skulls had already been found throughout Latin America. One of the skulls now resides in the British Museum, as well as the Smithsonian. There's also one owned by a man in San Francisco, one in Texas, and one in Canada that's owned by a woman named Anna Mitchell Hedges, who found her skull in 1924 while on an archaeological dig with her father in the lost city of Labutan, located in the jungles of Belize. At the young age of 19, Anna had discovered the first of the 13 crystal skulls, and now, 78 years later, Anna keeps her skull on display in her home in Canada. Chris and Ceri were fortunate enough to visit Anna and see the skull for themselves.
When I first saw the image of the skull, I found it had a very, very powerful hypnotic quality. It held my attention in a way that few other images ever have. I believe that the skull can speak to us at a level beyond words.
Some skeptics of the legend have suggested that the Mitchell Hedges skull is not an ancient artifact after all, that it's a fake. To refute these claims, Anna had the skull tested by experts in the field of crystal quartz.
The Mitchell Hedges skull was loaned to the computer company Hewlett Packard in order for them to carry out some scientific tests to try and see how old it was. And they were left almost speechless because there was no sign of any tool marks on the crystal skull.
Without tool marks, the experts assume that the skull was made by hand, which is even more amazing.
They tried to calculate how long that would take. And because this type of crystal is only slightly softer than diamond, the team at Hewlett Packard estimated that in order to create the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull, it would have taken several generations of human effort.
Their startling revelations didn't stop there.
There was no evidence of any hand carving markings either, which led one member of the team at Hewlett Packard to say that this skull shouldn't even exist.
Not only does the skull exist, but according to the experts, it might actually be able to store vast amounts of information.
The tiny little silicon crystal chip inside a computer is made from the same raw material as the crystal skull. And if you think how much information we now store in this tiny little silicon crystal chip, then just think how much information might be stored inside a crystal skull.
If these skulls are actually giant silicon crystal computer chips, then much of what we've thought about our own technological advancement could be entirely wrong.
We believe we are the most advanced, most developed, most sophisticated civilization that has ever existed on this planet. But the crystal skulls completely challenge that assumption by presenting us with the possibility that there have in the past been civilizations far more advanced, far more evolved and sophisticated than ourselves.
Although dating tests done on all 5 skulls are inconclusive, they have been verified to come from Latin America and appear to be of ancient origin.
I believe that the skulls work on many different levels, that they are communicating a profound message to us about our connection with all things.
According to legend, we have 8 more skulls to locate before their knowledge and insight can be revealed. And no one is expecting these heads to show up soon.
I believe the native elders are right when they say that humanity still has a long way to go in its evolution. We still see wars on this planet. We still see what the native elders call violence against men and violence against nature. But the native Mayan elders believe that the crystal skulls are now here to help us to further evolve so that we can live more in harmony with this planet.